The Arisaka Type 99, a rifle built for a war already lost. In August 1945, American soldiers walked into shattered Japanese cities, through the streets of Tokyo, through abandoned barracks, through the underground fortifications carved into the islands of the Pacific. Among the weapons of an army that had once challenged half the world, they kept finding the same rifle. It looked unremarkable, no complex automatics, no unusual mechanisms, just an ordinary wooden stock, a long barrel, and a bolt action that had to be worked by hand after every single shot. And yet this plain-looking weapon had been the Japanese Empire's last major small arms program. It was meant to replace the legendary Type 38, meant to symbolize a modernized Japanese army. Instead, it became the rifle of an empire that could no longer manufacture anything to the standard it once had. This was the Arisaka Type 99, a rifle that revealed both the strength of Japan's weapons engineering and the collapse of the industrial machine behind it. Origins of a rifle line. The story begins long before the Second World War. In the closing years of the 19th century, Japan was transforming itself at extraordinary speed. Following the Meiji Restoration, the country abandoned its feudal past and began building a modern army on the European model. Japanese military leaders understood one thing clearly: if the nation wanted to survive among the great powers, it needed weapons of its own. In 1897, the Japanese army adopted the Type 30 rifle, developed under Colonel Nariakira Arisaka, a name that would go on to define an entire era of Japanese small arms history. The next step came in 1905 with the Type 38, chambered for the 6.5 by 50 mm Arisaka cartridge and prized for its reliability. During the First World War, Japanese rifles were even exported to allies. Russia, short on domestic firearms production, purchased both the Type 30 and Type 38 in large numbers. By the 1930s, though, the world was changing again, and the Japanese military began to see a problem. The 6.5 mm round was accurate and gentle in recoil, but its power was falling behind the emerging military standards of the era. Other armies were moving to heavier ammunition. Germany with its 7.92 mm, the United States with the .30-06 Springfield, the Soviet Union with the 7.62 by 54 mm. Japan needed a new caliber of its own. The Type 99 emerges. In 1939, the Japanese army adopted a new rifle, the Type 99 short rifle. Despite the new name, it wasn't a radical departure. Japanese engineers took the proven Arisaka action and adapted it to a more powerful cartridge, the 7.7 by 58 mm Arisaka, which delivered higher velocity and better performance at range. At its core, the rifle kept the same bolt-action system that had served Japan for decades, simple, rugged, and refined to a high standard. One of its more distinctive features was an unusual safety. To disengage it, a soldier had to twist a large round knob at the rear of the bolt. American troops who later encountered the rifle often found this awkward, but Japanese soldiers, trained on it from the start, valued it for its simplicity. In its earliest form, the Type 99 was an excellent piece of engineering. The first production runs, built before the pressures of total war reshaped Japanese manufacturing, featured a chrome-lined barrel to resist corrosion, a sturdy bolt, a folding monopod on some models, and an adjustable rear sight. A handful of early rifles even carried a strange add-on, a wire anti-aircraft sight. meant to help infantrymen fire on low-flying planes. In practice, it accomplished almost nothing. A rifleman was rarely going to bring down an aircraft with small arms fire. But the very idea says something about how Japan's military planners imagined the coming war, one in which aircraft would dominate the battlefield. A rifle undone by its own war. When Japan went to war across the Pacific in 1941, the Type 99 gradually became the Army's standard rifle. But the war itself would transform the weapon in ways its designers never intended. At the outset, Japan still had a strong industrial base capable of producing high-quality arms. That didn't last. As American submarines strangled Japanese shipping and the losses across the Pacific mounted, the country's factories began running out of everything that mattered: metal, skilled labor, and above all, time. By 1944, Japanese industry was operating at the breaking point, and the Type 99 bore the marks of it immediately. Later production rifles earned a grim nickname, Last Ditch. These weren't built for long service. They were built because there was no longer any other option. Standard features quietly disappeared, machining grew crude, sights were simplified to bare essentials, wood quality declined sharply, and some rifles left the factory without chrome-lined barrels at all. A few examples were finished so roughly that collectors today can identify them at a glance, set against the polished early war rifles. And yet, even in this stripped-down form, the Type 99 remained a genuinely dangerous weapon. Poor finishing didn't mean poor function. The Arisaka action itself held its strength. Post-war American testing found that many late-production Type 99s still had exceptionally strong bolts, and some experts have ranked the Arisaka action among the toughest of any bolt-action rifle fielded in the Second World War. On the battlefield, combat exposed the rifle to a very different reality than the one its designers had planned for. Japan had entered the war banking on disciplined, mobile infantry to offset a growing technological gap. By the middle of the war, that gap had become a chasm. American forces fielded the semi-automatic M1 Garand, along with far greater numbers of machine guns, aircraft, and artillery. Firepower a bolt-action army simply couldn't match shot for shot. A Japanese soldier with a Type 99 still had to fire, work the bolt, eject the spent casing, chamber a new round, and aim again. Every shot a deliberate act, while his American counterpart could keep firing. Japan compensated the only way it could, with ambushes, concealed positions, island defense, and close-range fighting where a precise, hard-hitting rifle still meant something. Some of the Type 99's most notorious service came in Japan's final defensive battles. On Iwo Jima and Okinawa, Japanese soldiers used these rifles against the American advance, knowing the war itself could no longer be won. The weapon had become the last tool of resistance. In every cave, every fortified tunnel, every position that might become the site of a final stand. Legacy. After Japan's surrender, thousands of Type 99s fell into American hands. Many soldiers shipped them home as trophies, a memento of the Pacific War, a symbol of an enemy defeated. For decades, that's mostly how the rifle was seen. Over time, attitudes shifted. Collectors and historians began studying the Type 99 more closely, and found it was far more sophisticated than its reputation suggested. Not a cheap rifle from a defeated army, but the product of decades of careful development within Japan's arms industry. Today, the Arisaka Type 99 holds an unusual place among the rifles of the Second World War. It never achieved the legendary status of the American M1 Garand, and it never captured the popular imagination the way the German KAR-98K did. But it remains an honest reflection of the country that built it, precise, well-made, and carefully engineered at the start of the war, stripped down and desperate by the end of it. One rifle, two entirely different worlds, separated by only a few years. That contrast is exactly what makes the Arisaka Type 99 one of the most compelling weapons to come out of the Second World War. Its story isn't just about steel and wood. It's the story of an empire that tried to win through industry, discipline, and engineering, and ran headlong into an opponent whose resources dwarfed its own. When the last Japanese soldier held this rifle in 1945, he wasn't just holding a weapon, he was holding the final product of a vanishing era.